The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business Podcast.
Hi, I'm Sally Harrison, the President and CEO of the Mesa Chamber of Commerce. And today we're introducing a new podcast series with our friends from the City of Mesa. And it is going to be focused on innovation and growth, Mesa's Sustainable Edge. So welcome to the Innovation and Growth, Mesa's Sustainable Edge podcast. Embracing sustainability continues to be important for cities and communities to remain competitive and relevant in today's world. The factors driving the importance of sustainability today for both cities and/or companies include talent attraction, consumer demand, increased profits and productivity, investor demand, and regulatory demand. And I have some friends with me today. I have Laura and Ian from the City of Mesa, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves.
Wow, I'm happy to be here. I'm Laura Hyneman with the City of Mesa's Environmental and Sustainability Department.
And I'm Ian Linssen. I'm an assistant to the city manager in the city manager's office.
And you're both very busy, so thanks for taking time to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, cities must demonstrate their commitment to sustainability through activities and initiatives. Mesa values sustainability, and we received the Sustainable Cities Program Platinum Level designation by SRP recently.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. In these podcasts, we'll explore how local leaders are integrating sustainability and innovation to ensure healthy growth. Speakers will talk about how economic, environmental, and social goals are integrated into their business plans and give their perspective about how sustainability is good for the future and good for the bottom line.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm looking forward to learning a lot. So let's talk about accelerating electric vehicle adoption in Mesa. Ian, you're the go-to for the city, right?
Yes. I'm. It is a privilege to be able to be working on this for the city. EVs have been something that of a passion of mine. I've always been super interested in them. So it's really exciting to actually kind of be taking that on for the city and our community.
So what's your background?
Well, so as I said, I'm in the city manager's office, and I'm tasked on a couple of things, getting to work on innovation and technology initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the opportunity to work with the mayor, with some of our council members. I started off as an intern in the city.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot. Been with the organization for about 13 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, one of my main priorities is working on electric vehicles.
Okay. Why should someone own an electric vehicle? And do you?
Oh man, so yes, I actually do.
Okay, that's good.
Yes,
because I was going to tease you a little bit if you didn't.
Absolutely. There are so many reasons why somebody should look into an electric vehicle. If they're not ready to get a new car right now, at least start considering electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And for variety of reasons. Obviously, there are no tailpipe emissions that are produced by an electric vehicle. So if you think about the climate and that form of sustainability, it is doing more to help contribute to some of our climate goals. The City of Mesa has a climate action plan, and so electric vehicles can go a long way towards contributing to that. So along those lines, since it's electric, powered off of electricity, you don't have to visit a gas station anymore if you don't want to.
Right.
I happen to. I love grabbing a soda, but so I still go to gas stations. But you don't have to if you don't want to. So you don't have to be aware of gas prices, and right now gas prices are increasing.
Yeah.
Right. So you just kind of drive by and don't let that bother you. There are a lot of models to choose from today, but the exciting thing is, in the next year or two, there are going to be even more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a variety of price ranges. I know a lot of, sometimes you hear a lot of the electric vehicles are kind of on the upper end, but you can find some very affordable vehicles today, and that's just going to get better and better. And so you have a lot of options today and very soon in the future. So for families, for individuals, there's something for everybody there.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I have to say is they're incredibly fun to drive. I say this every time, but they really, really are. It's just a better driving experience overall. We also own a gas vehicle as well, but every time when we take a family trip, it's like we're going in the EV.
Nice. So why is Mesa so engaged in this initiative?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that too. So, as I mentioned, Mesa has a climate action plan, and one of the priorities of that plan is to reduce the overall carbon emissions of the community. And so EVs, you can draw a bright line between electric vehicle adoption and carbon reduction. There is still a carbon footprint associated with EVs, but it is less, and this comes out of the U.S. Department of Energy, it's less than the comparable footprint from an ICE vehicle or a combustion engine. So right there, Mesa is interested in that for that reason. But there's also a huge economic impact to electric vehicles. And you're seeing that in Mesa and also, though, across the state of Arizona right now. I was talking with a company that wants to rebrand Mesa as the electric motor vehicle state because of everything that's going on here. And so you've got companies, and so in Mesa you've got Electric Mechanica, you have a company called New, you've got some suppliers for EVs, but all throughout the state you have Lucid, you have Nikola, and some others. And so there's just a lot of activity. And think of all the suppliers and everything that go along with that. So that's a huge reason in and of itself. And then, there are some cost savings that can be associated with EVs in the long term. While we don't focus on that first and foremost, when we think of our own fleet within this city, we do see on the horizon some potential for cost savings there too. So there can be a beneficial financial impact to the city as well.
So talk about why the city is accelerating the adoption of electric vehicles and the importance of that to the community.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons, and some more I should have even touched on in your previous question. So we are seeing in Arizona right now that electric vehicle adoption it's really punching above our weight. We have more electric vehicles per capita than many other states. So we are seeing a lot of these vehicles in and around our communities. If somebody with an electric vehicle has to charge, we would rather they come and charge in Mesa, because then they can come out, they can go to the restaurants, they can go to a shop.
Sure.
And so we're like, let's make sure that an EV owner can choose Mesa to come in. But in addition, we think that, again, there are some great economic development incentives, or reasons, I should say, to do this. We want to continue to grow that ecosystem within our city. And we just think that really when it comes to workforce training, new opportunities just for all of our residents, it brings all of that together.
Oh, I'm excited to see it. I got to test drive a couple.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was home on vacation, I got to drive my brother-in-law's car, and they are pretty slick.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's
very fun.
Like I said, it is. Once you've driven one, it is very difficult to drive something other than that because it's just not as fun. Yeah.
Well, talk about what the businesses in Arizona are doing.
So a couple of things, and it's similar to actually what the city is doing as an organization too. So a lot of businesses, well, first and foremost, again, there's businesses coming into the state that are specifically EV related, whether that's the car itself or battery technology or other suppliers. There's a Hyundai seat manufacturer in Mesa that provides seats for Lucid
They're
vehicles.
a chamber member.
Yes.
Yes.
So all of that, I mean, that's business activity around this right now, and it's only growing. You know how it goes, that when you start to have an ecosystem around something, it just tends exactly. But other businesses are looking to electrify their own fleets if they have fleets. They're seeing the value there, again, from potentially a climate and sustainability standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint, but potentially.
Makes sense.
Because the other thing I failed to mention is just on long-term maintenance of these vehicles, it tends to be less than a traditional gas-powered engine. You don't have to go in for oil changes, for example.
Makes
and with
sense.
many of these cars, they don't even use the brake pads to brake. It's something called regenerative braking. And so you rarely
That's
have to
a little
replace.
bit hard to get used to.
It's an interesting experience, but that's part of it. Once you do get used to it, that's part of the fun, I think. But so businesses are doing all of these things, again, for the same reasons really that an individual might be interested in pursuing EVs.
Great. So why should businesses be part of the initiative? there's some incentive for them?
Yeah, I think, if they want, why should they do it? Well, again, it comes down to, are they interested in climate sustainability values or practices? If they are, this is one of the easiest things to get started with because the vehicles are available. The charging infrastructure, while it might not be available on their location, our local utility SRP offers incentives for businesses and individuals to purchase chargers. So it is relatively easy to get that all set up. And so, again, if they want to look at their bottom line long term, it can be there can be financial incentives to their organization to do it. And so if they want to be seen as a leader, if they want to be a part of what's happening here, which is kind of the thing that's happening, which around EVs, you want to kind of be invested in this and at least have yourself and your employees have some awareness of it.
So I heard just last week that Mesa Fire and Medical is getting a fire truck.
Yes, an electric fire truck.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so we're really excited about this. There's been a bit of a delay in taking delivery of it, but we are expecting by early next year. That's fingers crossed. It will be the first North American manufactured electric vehicle in the United States for any agency. So a couple of agencies like LA, they already have an electric vehicle, but it was a European one, if I understand correctly.
Okay.
This is the first of its kind.
Very cool.
And Mesa, will be the first organization to get it. So
that's awesome. Very cool.
Anything
exciting. Else you want to mention?
Well, I spoke about getting additional information. So there are a lot of resources out there because this is something new for folks. So you have to learn about the cars. You have to learn about how to charge them.
Yeah.
You have to learn about and the other thing I should mention is it's not everybody does have access to charging. Right. So that's one of the reasons, and I should have led with this. That's one of the reasons the city is so interested in this as well. Is we want to ensure that everybody who is interested in an EV can go about charging them, or at least feel confident that they can use the EV once they have it. So if you think about multifamily properties where you're parking outside, you don't have access to a garage, that can be a little bit more difficult for charging.
Sure.
So for folks to kind of learn all about that, there are a lot of resources. Electrify Arizona has a great website, electrifyarizona.org. I would encourage folks to go out and take a look at. It has a lot of the basics on EV. You can get those, your questions about charging answered and that sort of thing. And our own city has a lot of pages out there, some information on EVs. We are in the process of completing a community-wide charging master plan that's going to kind of lay out some potential strategies for doing things like making sure that everybody has access to charging, as I mentioned. We will be putting that information on our city's website. When that's done, that should be done here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So coming up. That's going to be real exciting, and our council is going to have a conversation around that. But so definitely check this out. It's worthwhile to look at. Like I said, I cannot state enough how fun it is to drive. More options on the horizon. It seems like every day, I follow this all too closely, but every day there's another announcement from another manufacturer of another type of EV.
Well, that's exciting.
Good things to come.
So as we're bringing new businesses and new housing complexes in, are there going to be some kind of, mandates that go along with that?
Well, that's a great question. So it's not something that our council has really chewed on just yet, but it is out there. There are communities like Glendale, for example, that does require certain types of charging, like having a 220 outlet in new residential garages, that sort of thing. It's definitely a possibility, but when we look to do this sort of thing, we don't want it to be an impediment to development or to business is coming here. We want to kind of work with them. We have talked with our development community about this, kind of solicited their input on whether or not that would be a good idea. I can tell you it's cheapest to do when you're doing a new construction.
Sure, I would think so, yeah.
And so it would be great to be able to do that. But that's going to be kind of the types of conversations that we will be having at the city, our council will be considering. And we'll provide more opportunities for folks to have access.
Very cool. Well, thanks for all that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So, Laura, This is our first of several podcasts. Talk about who you're bringing in next time.
Well, it's very exciting. We're going to see a lot of new electric vehicles on the roadways soon, as Ian is talking about. So you may be wondering, are we ready to provide the energy, the electrical energy that all these vehicles need?
Right.
So we're going to bring in two speakers to talk about that.
Awesome.
One is Scott Boucher, the Energy Resources Director here for Mesa's Electric Utility. And then we're also going to bring in a representative to SRP, and they're going to talk about how they're planning for all this new charging infrastructure.
That's great. I look forward to that. Thank you. I appreciate you both coming in today.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you next time.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.